Well, g'day from the trap line. I've just pulled up here now after about 10 hours in the buggy checking traps. It's a good time to reflect. It's a good time to think about things you've said and things you've done, especially when I've been posting up clips recently that have been a bit contentious. Stirred a lot of people up, which is good. Made a lot of people think. And I've got to check my attitude on it. Like the old saying, attitude, check your attitude. When I get people call me and discuss it, and they're a lot more learned people than myself, and they say, you're right, I go, okay. I've thrown the challenge out there to everybody right across the world to say, prove me wrong. The situation that I see that we're in as hunters here in Queensland, Australia, is not a good one, and I've been so hoping that somebody could come up and say, hey McGee, you numbskull, this is the way it is, it's not as bad as you think, there it is, and lay it out for us. So far, crickets. Nobody has been able to challenge it. I think we've got a real unique situation here in Queensland. We don't have legislation to back up hunting. We have a right to hunt. I firmly believe that. We've got a right to hunt. It is a God-given right to hunt, to provide for your families. It's one of the basic things of the human race, is to be able to hunt and gather for food, to feed your family, feed yourself. So I'm not challenging that at all. To probably make it a bit more understandable for some people, I'll go right back about 30 odd years ago. I was down at an ADA national conference. I'd come down from Queensland to talk there. I had the national secretary at the time. My goodness, he was cranky. He was cranky. He was yelling that loud, and he was that worked up that there was bits of spittle coming out of his mouth and landing on the table between us. He was screaming at me. And I had the president at the time, Patrick. He was bashing on the little block with his hammer, calling for order. And we had Nils Toineven and Eugen Reinhardt, Otto Ruff, you name it. A lot of the old guard fellas there at the time yelling, let the young fella talk, right? And what the secretary at the time was saying was, he said, you have no right to commercialise these deer. You have no right. Those deer were put there for the people, not for you filthy landowners. Right? He went on to say, there'll be no commercialisation of deer while I'm alive. Totally against it. He could see no reason, no value in having a value on wild deer. I've always been a commercial operator, right from day one when I was 17, in a helicopter, bulldogging deer, net gunning deer, trapping, tranquilising, farming deer, guiding 30, 40 years. With our Ballot and Glenfiddich project, I've always put a price on the deer because I see them as a primary product. I see them as a renewable resource that replenishes itself every year with just dirt, grass, sunlight, fresh air, bang, and there you've got another crop. Fantastic renewable resource. And that is the secret, that is the crux of the whole thing. But because this isn't accepted widely in Australia, people think that they should be just there no matter what for them, right? As a God-given right. Okay, these are an introduced animal. They're living on the private holdings of landowners here in Queensland. They're eating their grass, they're eating their crops and orchards, they're competing with their livestock, right? That is true. That is the way it is. Now, if somebody has got more right to the land, to somebody else's land than that landowner, or if a government has got more right to it than the landowner themselves, well, that to me is a socialist society. I believe that a landowner, if they're on his property, his or her property, they should have the right to do something with it. And if it is charge a fair price for those animals, for hunters to go in there, I'm right for it. I always have been. And that's been the foundation of my beliefs behind our group called the Ridge Group, something I helped founder 30 odd years ago. The deer should have a value back to the landowners. The higher the value, the more likely it is that the landowners want to retain those deer forevermore. So the situation we find ourselves in now, I probably summed it up pretty well. I've had a couple of solicitors call me, that fellows I've never met, over this last week. They've seen the clips and they've rung up for more information because they've said, look, I think you've got a point here, but we think there's got to be a way around this. So they've rung me up and talked to me about it. And one bloke wanted me to condense it right down. And I said, okay, I need a system where if you as a hunter, as a solicitor, but as a hunter, goes onto that landowner's property and you hurt yourself really badly, okay? Let's say that you are totally incapacitated, can't talk, can't do anything, you're just literally lifeless on a bed. You've got no say in what happens. SafeWorks Queensland will arrive there and they will apportion blame. They will look see if there's negligence on the behalf of the landowner, because you will be on a landowner's business premise. There's no doubt about that. If you're on a farm, that is a working property. It is a business. You are on a business premise. They will look at it. And if there is negligence, that landowner will be held responsible. They might be fined, and at the worst, they could be seen criminally negligent. Okay? I said to this solicitor, or one of these solicitors, and they're both lovely guys, great guys, I said, I need a system for the landowners where you can't take them for everything they own. I said, at the moment, if you were hurt on a landowner's property, could you sue them and take their property off them? And he said, yes. So that's the situation we're in. Landowners are getting hoodwinked by hunters who are going on there saying, oh, we've got $20 million public liability. Yeah, that covers you, the hunter, for what you might do to that landowner. It doesn't necessarily cover you if you get hurt. It covers what you do to somebody else, all right? It will actually assist to attack that landowner if somebody feels there's negligence on behalf of that landowner involved. If we don't have a situation where the landowners feel like they are safe, unless they be stupid, I think all landowners realise if they're negligent, if they be stupid, if they do something very blasé and they hurt somebody else, that they really have to face the music. I think everybody accepts that. Most people anyway. Most people accept that. But if a landowner feels that somebody's just going to come at them and try and prove negligence when really it didn't exist, and they think this is going to cost us $500,000 or $1 million in court, that landowner, like if I was the landowner, I'd say, listen, it's not worth it for me to have you hunters on my place, and I'd shut the gate. I'd call in a contractor, a professional, to kill all the animals if they're in excess, right? If there's too many deer, too many pigs, whatever, so say get rid of them. Put them through a box, shoot them, put them in a pit, shoot them and let them lie, bring in the chopper and shoot them, rather than face the chance of losing your property. This is how it is, people. I'd love to see a situation where a landowner could see enough value in the wild animals on their property that's renewable, that every year they know that, righto, we can harvest 200 deer and we can harvest 400 pigs and so many goats and whatever off this property, and that's worth a sizable chunk of money to them, that they can then afford to have the best insurance that they can, and to put in procedures and safety mechanisms, safe work method statements that protect anybody that come on the property. Do the job right, because there's enough coming in. But if there's nothing coming in, the best thing you can do, the best way you can make money out of those wild animals on your place, wild introduced species, is to shut the gate and wipe them out. Do you really want this to be the future? That's what I'm saying to recreational hunters. I'm just being the messenger here. I'm just trying to show you what's out there from my experience for 40 odd years in the guiding game as a representative of the landowner. And that's been the difference. I'm a keen recreational hunter, as keen as you ever see. But my business, my role for all these years has been to work as the agent for the landowner. So basically, I am the landowner. I take their interest to heart. I treat their land as if it was my land, right? I treat it with respect. So I'm trying to say to hunters, listen guys, if we feel threatened that you guys can take everything we have worked for our family for generation after generation, and like that, it could be gone, we'll shut the gate. Now, we don't have public land hunting. We've got hunting on the private holdings of landowners in Queensland. Please think about this, people. What we have to do is we have to combine forces. Cattle Party, they're looking at it good and hard. Well done, guys. Impressed, okay? We've got people like Tony Perrott in the Liberal National Party. You will not get a more staunch, down-to-earth guy than him. We missed our opportunity at the last state election here, and there was actually hunters that lobbied against him and attacked him every way they could, which was the dumbest thing I have ever seen, because that guy is the bloke that does understand hunting. By now we would have something in place to preserve hunting and firearm ownership in this state forevermore. And we blew the chance. We need Cattle Party, One Nation, any other conservative group to work with the Liberal National Party here in Queensland to reclaim government for conservative-minded people. That's my 10 cents worth for today. And again, I'm just a messenger. Don't shoot the messenger. Till next time.